part 5. So we're talking about history repeating itself.
Yes, history repeating itself. So I was talking about the Prince of Wales, who became Prince Regent and reigned in place of his father George III, and his Princess of Wales, Caroline, and how he banished her after the birth of the baby, who was Princess Charlotte. She became a tragic princess, of course. She died in 1817. But in 1820, George III died.
Wow.
And, you know, he had been ill for a long time. There had been a regency, which was the first one in history. And then when the Princess of Wales, who was philandering abroad, heard that her father-in-law had died, she decided to return to England to claim her crown.
Is that right?
As Queen of England. Queen Consort, of course. Queen Consort.
And
so she arrived, and the manufacturers of coins and other memorabilia, they produced things like this. I'm not sure you can see it very well, but this is a medal
just about
that welcomes Queen Caroline back to English soil.
Right, wow. And what does
And
it say? Can you read it to
Well, I
us?
wish I could. I think I knew what it said, but now I can't remember what it says. What does it say?
In remembrance of the happy return of our beloved Queen on English ground, June the 5th, 1890. Is that right?
It has to be 1820, because that's when he died. Must be
Oh, sorry,
1820.
you're right, 1820.
1820. So she came back in full glory. People were at Portsmouth Harbour, thousands of them. You know, they just adored this Princess of Wales, and they hated the Prince of Wales because they thought he'd done her wrong.
Right.
Is it sounding familiar?
Very.
Yeah. So, anyway, he became King George IV, of course. You don't have to be crowned to become a king. As soon as King George III took his last breath, King George IV took his first one. So he said, right, well, I don't want her as my consort. I don't want her anywhere near me. I think she's disgusting. She's all this, that and the other. He said, in fact, I want a divorce.
Wow.
And he was saying this to the Prime Minister. So he said, oh, well, you know, remember this is a time when the church is all powerful. So what happened was Parliament held a trial. And of course Parliament is the highest court in the land. And Parliament held a trial. And it was the trial of Her Majesty Caroline Amelia Elizabeth, Queen of England. And this particular day was Saturday, the September the 2nd, 1820.
Wow. And this is the original.
This was number 8. Yes, this was the 8th day. I mean, later on, on August the 21st, we've got the 30th day.
Yeah.
Because there was no television, there was no radio, there was no means of communication other than reading. And then, of course, there was a lot of people, 30% of people couldn't read anyway.
Yeah.
And what used to happen was this Mr. Dolby, he would rush home after he'd written all his notes, and he'd type everything out.
Yeah.
This is a transcript of day 8 of the trial.
Wow.
He would rush this out, you know, to print. And the public couldn't get enough of it. It was a kind of news of the world of the day.
So random pieces here. Did the witness make it up every day? I can't remember at what time was it made. It was made about the usual time. What's this about?
This is the beds.
The beds. Was it part of witness business at Naples to make the princess's bed? What's the connection with Naples? Do we know?
Well, that's where she was with her latest boy, and it was all about making up the bed. And and this is quite pornographic if you read through it. It's what she did with various young boys, young men. It's what the servants saw.
So quite an appalling piece of history.
It was. The painting, the trial of the Queen, of Queen Caroline, is in the the National Portrait Gallery in London.
That right?
And it's a huge portrait, and it's a trial. So anyway, at the end of this trial, well, yes, they did agree that she wasn't as she should be.
Wow.
But really, ministers or no ministers, Prime Minister or not, they could not dissolve a marriage that God had put in place because of the church was so powerful.
And the divine right, of course, to be queen.
That's right.
So what became of her?
Well, George IV said, OK, well, she's not being crowned with me. So he banned her. He barred her from Westminster Abbey during the coronation ceremony.
Wow.
He was crowned, and outside was an angry mob there with the Princess of Wales, hammering on the doors, throwing things at the windows.
Goodness.
Let her in, let her in.
Really?
He wouldn't let her in. So he was crowned. She wasn't, although she was still queen.
And
Because she was still queen.
And did the public know what was going on in this court case behind the scenes?
Yes, they did, because they were reading it. They
so
couldn't
they
wait
knew-
to get it, so they knew what she'd been doing.
And in spite of it, she was popular.
Because they decided that he'd had other women.
Right.
Oh, wonder if they were all called Camilla. Does that give you a clue? So, in 1821 comes the coronation. Of course, only George IV was crowned in Westminster Abbey.
Yeah.
Queen Caroline was outside with a mob of people. And, however, the British pottery manufacturers, who again were for the Princess of Wales, produced these.
Wow. Now, are these caricatures? There's a monkey here.
That's the king.
Wow.
They portrayed the king as a monkey.
Goodness me.
And this is Queen Caroline.
Wow.
So this commemorates her coronation, even though she wasn't crowned, or it's her becoming queen. And they depict him as a monkey. They hated him.
Wow.
Why did they hate him? He was a prince regent. He did a good job looking after his dad's throne. He'd wasted money, and he had been a womanizer and everything when he was a young man. He was. I'm not condoning that, but it was a different era, and you can't really compare it with today's era.
Yeah.
But men were expected to do that, never mind accepted. And anyway, that's what happened. The whole country was against him, and the whole country was behind the Princess of Wales. And then, fast forward 200 years, you got it again.
Yeah.
And we're still here. We're still here with, there's the Diana cabinet. Because she's part of history, she has so many fans that walk through this door. And we have so many people who walk through this door that hate Camilla and blame Charles for Diana's death.
What's your
How fickle.
What's your response to that?
How fickle.
You're not the status quo, are you, in terms of the Diana thing?
I'm not a Diana fan. It was a tragic death. I obviously didn't want her to die, a young mother. It's absolutely tragic for the two sons. I've had tragedies like that in my family. I had a sister who died at 27 and left a year-old baby, and it's not nice, and it affects you for the rest of your life. I'm not saying anything about that. But I wasn't a Diana fan in that I did not condone how she tried to break Charles, and in doing so almost brought down the monarchy. And I can't allow that because I'm a monarchist. I don't really care what the individual characters do. I'm a monarchist. I want the monarchy to continue. I want the monarch to be a right and proper person, which of course our queen is, and no doubt about it.
How long has she reigned now?
67 years.
67 years. What's going to be happening for the 70th?
Well, do you know, I reckon she's still going to be here, but I don't think people dare. I mean, I daren't organise anything.
Yeah, just in
case, you're tempting fate.
Yes.
But eventually, as happens to us all, she will go. She will be succeeded by Charles, who may choose the name Charles to become King Charles III. He may not, because the first two King Charleses weren't very clever like with these. So he may not. He may choose one of his other names, but the thing is, he will be a good king. He's been an excellent Prince of Wales.
He does a lot of charity work, doesn't he?
He's underestimated. He's so underestimated. He does all kinds. 250,000 young people have been through the Prince's Trust.
The Prince's Trust,
250,000 in 40 years. He works so hard. He works so... Well, they all do. We don't see... what we do see is we see the odd game of polo on.
Yes.
And we see, when they make a mistake on the outside the nightclubs or whatever.
But he's quite an environmentalist, isn't he? Which charities does he represent?
Well, he's got his own charities as well, but he does a lot for agriculture.
Yes.
And he has, this... Oh no, it's not there. He has a children's charity, a Children for the Arts charity. He's got agricultural charities. He's got environment. He was the one that everyone laughed at 30 years ago when he warned, and they laughed at him. They said he's nuts. He talks to plants. Right. Well,
now everyone's into that kind of stuff. Climate change. Yeah,
climate change.
Well, someone has to do it. Trump isn't doing it.
No.
Someone has to do it.
And the other day I was interviewed on the radio, and the radio presenter said, "Don't you think Harry's changed since he got married? He's now a barefoot climate change nutter." And I said, "Oh, do you think climate change people are nutters?"
What does that even mean? That statement.
Yeah. Who cares? And actually, I don't really care what Harry and Meghan do. I'm just more interested in protecting the monarchy.
Well, what I like about Meghan is the UN and the women's rights.
She's different.
She's different.
She's different, but she's so far removed from the throne. It doesn't matter whether that difference is for good or for bad.
She's simply a good ambassador.
She is actually, and it will be for good because she knows, you know, she's her own woman.
Yeah.
And I just hope that all of this constant media criticism doesn't affect her. And I bet he's mad as hell about it.
Well, he's already issued statements, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, if you can believe them, I just don't bother reading anything.
Yeah.
I just don't care. So that was that. That was and George IV reigned for 10 years till 1830, and then Silly Billy came to the throne. This is King William IV.
I see.
So he was another uncle of Queen Victoria.
Now, to finish up, earlier I asked you what was your most unusual piece.
I know.
What's your favourite piece?
Oh, my favourite piece. Oh, do you know? I really,
it's a tough choice, isn't it? How many pieces do you have?
I've got over 8,000 now, which is, I know it's pretty sad, but you know, I've got.